All right, good evening, everybody. Let me fix some sound over here. My name is Kayla Lopez, joining you from the News 12 Now desk. It is currently 8 o'clock at night on the dot. I got it as it was going from 7:59 over to 8 p.m. So we've just been kind of doing these later night digital hits here, just so that way, just in case you're just now settling in at your home for the night, you can kind of get some of the bigger updates of the things that we spoke about today in some of our earlier newscasts. That's kind of been the flow of these. So if you're just now getting home, get comfortable, and we'll go through some of these things that were the bigger news today. It's been 2 weeks since Hurricane Helene swept through the CSRA, and some places look exactly the same and others look very different. And when I say exactly the same, I mean exactly the same as right after the storm left in terms of damage. And some are starting to see some sort of progress and some sort of recovery. So, but I mean, if you drive around, you'll see everything that's been left behind from the storm, and many people do say that the scene looks a lot different than the day it did the storm hit. And your Kennedy Payne was out in the community today speaking to some of these people who shared these same opinions and just kind of an overview on some recovery efforts. So I'm going to go ahead and get that ready over here so I can play that for you guys. And then again, everything that I will be showing will be from our earlier newscast. It's just kind of a refresher in case you weren't able to join us a little bit earlier. So this was the what she did at 6 p.m. today. She kind of got around the community and talked to some of these people who said they do think it looks a little bit different from when the storm first hit, and maybe it is just because we're getting better at adapting and getting used to this new normal. So I'm going to go ahead and play this for you guys now.
Yeah, it looks different everywhere. And if you drive around, you can really see the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, whether it's down power lines or smashed cars or holes in houses or even tree trunks like these that are on the side of the road. But I did speak with several people who say the scene does look a lot different than it did the day the storm hit. For many, instead of trees, it's tarp, and roads that were blocked before are at least drivable. Charles Bailey lives in North Augusta, and he says he and his wife are just trying to get back to normal.
Starting to get groceries back in our refrigerator and freezer, and we're just doing the cleanup.
But sounds he typically didn't hear before have become all too familiar.
Backing up, it does the beeping, and then. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of chainsawing going on for a while. It's going to be like humming to your ears.
And he says normal for him is getting the debris cleaned up.
This is not normal. I mean, this is extraordinarily devastation, and live with it. You just don't live with it as long as possible.
North Augusta says next week they will shift more towards cleanup. And Mayor Britton Williams says the debris left behind from power lines will be cleaned up by Dominion. For others in Augusta, they say they haven't found their normal yet.
I'm wondering how a lot of us are going to be able to put all of the pieces back together, being that we can barely go through the streets.
But although the progress is slower than some may want, it's still happening. Richmond County started with nearly 94,000 outages, and Georgia Power now only shows 55.
I think everybody is doing their best as far as circumstances.
And North Augusta started with nearly 14,000 outages, and they now only have 5 homes without power. Richmond County says they're ramping up the amount of tree debris trucks they have out daily. But several people I spoke with say that although they're walking around trying to get back to normal, some places may never look the same.
It is a lot we've gone.
So that was a little bit of that package from earlier, just sort of on those recovery efforts. And it is true. Some places look like, I mean, they haven't been touched just yet, and others look like the storm ran through just yesterday, and others look like lots of recovery has been made. A big update I did want to give is I know a lot of people are wondering probably about schools and ongoing relief efforts, so I do have those for you, and I'm going to put those on the screen now as well. In terms of schools returning, Next week, more schools are going to be headed back to the classroom. Richmond and Jefferson counties are going to return next Wednesday, and then Aiken County will have a 2-hour delay both Monday and Tuesday. Jenkins, Tolliver, and Saluda counties will return on Monday, and then Warren County returns Tuesday. So again, I have this graphic up on your screen right now. If any families in any of these school districts are wondering about when their kids are going to go back to school, or any families are wondering when schools will be open, Richmond, Jefferson counties, Wednesday, Aiken County, a 2-hour delay on Monday and Tuesday, Jenkins, Tolliver, Saluda counties on Monday, and then Warren County on Tuesday. So that's an update on the schools going back. Another update I wanted to give is some weekend recovery events. We have a relief still going on in the community. We've had it going on since the hurricane hit, and some distribution sites are closing, but lots of other community members are still out and about trying to provide for those who still need the basic necessities like food and water, and provide those sorts of things. So I'm going to put those on the screen here in just a second as well. So here are some upcoming weekend relief events going into Saturday and Sunday if you are still in need. So the tomorrow, the Columbia County Republican Party is hosting a breakfast at 9:30 until supplies run out at the Grove First Baptist Church in Grovetown, and this will be open to everybody. Everybody is welcome to this, they said. The Solid Rock Baptist Church in Appling will be providing hot meals, water, and other essentials from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. tomorrow. And you can also help and donate things like snacks and bottled water tomorrow at the Jesus Christ Church of Latter-day Saints in Evans. So again, donate snacks, water tomorrow at the Jesus Christ Church of Latter-day Saints in Evans. I have the graphic up on your screen. The Solid Rock Baptist Church will be giving hot meals, water, and more tomorrow from 12 to 2. And the Columbia County Republican Party will be holding a breakfast tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. at Grove First Baptist Church in Grovetown tomorrow. And that is open to everybody. That's first responders, everybody. Other updates. If you're in South Carolina right now, the voter registration deadline has been extended until Monday, October 14th. The lawsuit filed arguing victims of Helene should have more time. So early voting October 21st through November 2nd. I also had some more information on that here as well. Yes. So the extension does come after a lawsuit was filed arguing that the victims of Helene should have more time to register to vote. So that early voting in South Carolina does start October 21st and goes until November 2nd. So again, if you live in South Carolina, the registration deadline has been extended until Monday for voting. In other news that we covered here in the newsroom today, Your Cityhood was at Eisenhower Park, and a lot of people were asking questions about the massive piles of debris and what's going to be done about that. And will it be cleared from the yards or the roads? Still so many questions for so many people in terms of debris and debris removal. So Your Cityhood was asking some of those questions to try and give some answers to some of these questions that many of you have. So we have that as well, and I'm going to go ahead and get this started. Sorry.
Crews out being cleaned up within a 90-day period. Now, crews out here tell me they have about 74 haul units like the ones you see out here behind me, out in the county, picking up debris, bringing them back to debris sites like Eisenhower Park here, unloading before heading back out on the road again.
With each passing day,
probably just in front of our house, we have a truckload.
Neighborhoods look more and more like lumber yards.
And that's nothing compared to the whole neighborhood and the whole area.
From the inside,
we had about a 60-foot oak come down. It damaged my car and then came through our living room.
To the outside.
You don't really believe it until you see it, as far as what it's done to our community, and just really changed the landscape of everything.
The debris has to go somewhere. Eisenhower Park is one place trucks are unloading.
The trailers load so quick that you spend more time driving to and from the debris sites. So I wanted to get to areas where they could have shorter runs, so they're on the road less and they get back to cleaning it up quicker.
Steve Castle with ISM Engineering says crews are hitting the heavy areas first.
It's just that if I say they're going to a certain area, it may take them all day to get one road, so the progress won't seem very great, but there's a lot of stuff coming in and out of here right now.
Castle says crews are looking at 2 passes for every road in Richmond County.
Because of so much damage in those areas, a lot of area may not look like it's covered, but a lot of debris is getting out of here, and it's all got to come out.
Castle says just yesterday, crews picked up about 21,000 cubic yards of debris. He says once crews get to the point where they're able to start doing final passes in the county, then he'll be able to release exactly which neighborhoods crews are going to be hitting. But for the time being, crews have been in and out of Eisenhower Park all day long, dumping the debris into the pile you see behind me before heading out.
And patience certainly.
So that was a little bit of update on the debris. Your Sydney Hood did that story earlier today, and it is quite a bit of a relief to actually be able to, lay your eyes on some of the debris removal and know that it is happening, it's actively happening, and that some of those heavier hit areas will see multiple passovers of this. So it was really good to be able to see boots on the ground, be able to lay eyes on the fact that the debris is being picked up. So they do still ask that you're patient. If you still got debris out in your yard, we just showed you they're picking up a lot, more and more every day, and trying to make the community better for travel, better for neighborhoods traveling, getting to and from work every day, and just kind of starting with those debris removal efforts are in full effect right now. Another big thing investigative reporter Liz Owens has been covering since the hurricane pretty much hit has been FEMA and assistance and what to do in that sort of thing once you've got your basic necessities and once you're kind of starting to recover some of those other things that you're thinking about, like your tree damage and FEMA and your property value. So today she ran a story and she basically was talking about how damage could affect your property value and in turn next year's property value tax bill. So she did say that the Richmond County tax assessor will begin conducting a county-wide preliminary damage assessment this week. So she just kind of went on to explain how this works for those of you that have maybe had a difficult time kind of managing through all of the second layer of the relief and kind of recovering from this damage. So I'm going to also go ahead and play this for you. And this is again on how your property value of your home could be impacted by the storm because the Richmond County tax assessor will begin conducting a countywide preliminary damage assessment this week. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you guys here as well. Give me 1 second to get it ready and up and on the screen. And here we go.
The tax assessor will be visiting homes like this one and assigning a category to the level of damage following FEMA guidelines. There are 4 FEMA categories ranging from minor cosmetic damage to destroyed. The home is a total loss. We talked with a roofer earlier in the week. He said several homes in the neighborhood where he grew up on Walton Way are scheduled to be demolished. Destroyed homes lower property value until rebuilt. Same with damaged homes until repaired. Your property tax bill is based off the value of your home on January 1 of that tax year, which is why the tax assessor is asking homeowners to fill out this form so his team can reassess the value of your property before the new year.
There's roof impact, shingles impacted, but they're able to get those repaired. Again, it's our attempt to reflect what the value is as of January 1. So if it's been damaged and is repaired by the end of the year, there won't be a specific damage reduction to the property.
People should wait until February to get their homes repaired?
No, I don't think we want to wait that long. We're going to have some rain coming by then.
Kidding aside, the most likely people to benefit from a reassessment of their property are those that do not have homeowners insurance and have to pay out of pocket for costly repairs. In Augusta, Liz Owens, on your side.
So that was just a little bit on that in terms of the tax assessment. They did say that the tax assessor would be going out and about next week checking on preliminary damage. Excuse me. So that was a little bit, and I'm sure she'll be following that in the coming weeks as well. So make sure that if you have those forms, you fill out those forms that we just showed on the screen that she had in her package. Also today, Augusta city leaders, and this was a really interesting story that we ran today as well, but Helene brought historic levels of damage to our area. We all know that. But what we weren't expecting was that in the hours and days that followed Hurricane Helene, emergency services took a historic number of calls. So that included the obvious calls for things like storm damage and people needing rescue, but also it spiked for burglaries and looting. So they saw a record number of calls during a historic number of calls during that time as well. So we had Will Rio out today, and he was kind of breaking down how law enforcement responded to this increase in calls in the days that followed the storm. So I'm going to play this for you guys as well, but there are the obvious calls to emergency services like the storm and the storm damage, but the burglary and the looting increase in a historic amount as well. So let me get this ready for you guys and we'll play this as well.
Since Hurricane Helene battered the CSRA, first responders have worked around the clock, call after call.
Times like this is when we need everybody to come together.
And Richmond County says their deputies certainly answered those calls.
One of our officers, he was actually on patrol when the storm hit, and he was responding to a tree that had fell through a house. And as he was responding, 2 trees and a power line fell on his patrol car, and he was entrapped. He was able to get out, had to abandon his vehicle in that neighborhood for about a day and a half.
Their call volume was historic.
It was by far the most calls for service we responded to.
According to Augusta 911, they answered 8,382 calls from September 26th through the 29th. On the 27th, the day Helene hit the CSRA, dispatchers picked up the phone more than 3,500 times alone, and some of those 911 calls weren't for storm damage.
The opportunity was there for larceny, thefts, and things like burglary, whether residential or business. Obviously, priority was safety, people, the community.
Deputies say they saw a 75% increase in burglaries and looting after the storm, including 2 Family Dollar stores. They were able to arrest more than 11 people connected to multiple burglary cases.
The officers stepped up when they heard the call for assistance and came in on their off days and helped.
Richmond County says they'll hold an after-action plan to make adjustments for future possible disasters.
We faced a lot of challenges, but I think we're going to learn from them and we're going to grow from them.
In Augusta, Will Rio, on your side.
So, I mean, up 75% in looting and burglaries during those days after the storm. And the day the storm hit, 3,500 calls made to the 911 center. So, they did say that they were going to try and reevaluate for if another storm does hit, but in the meantime, it does seem that they did their best in responding, and they're going to try and change things maybe a little bit for next time. But 75% increase in burglary and looting during those days after the storm. In a bit of lighter news or happier news, there are still local businesses trying to pick up the pieces and help, and Zayna Halliburton checked in with a couple of these sort of local businesses that despite all of this, it's just really still important for them to get up and running, and that's been the case for a lot of local businesses that even though they can't necessarily maybe open their doors or run normal operations, they're still out in the community trying to make the best of the situation and try and get up and running again. So this was, I'll go ahead and get this for you guys as well. But yeah, we've seen so the community has come together so much during these times, and it's been so amazing to see here just seeing still the ongoing relief efforts, to know that there's still places that you can go get those basic necessities and relief efforts 2 weeks later, that every day, so there seems to still be something going on, and people just out in the community wanting to help each other. And a lot of the times the people that are out there, those first couple days, it was a lot of the servicemen and the linemen and the first responders who were out giving supplies, and they didn't have power or water in their own homes. So as things start to get better for a lot of us, it is also nice to hear that the community has been coming together during this time, and now these businesses are starting to pick up the pieces and try to run normal operations. So that's a little bit about what she did today, so we'll play that now.
After Helene hit our area, local businesses are left picking up the pieces. Zana Halliburton checked in with a couple of them who say despite what they were experiencing, it was important for them to get up and running so they could help others.
El Rey on Washington Road is running business as usual, but that was not the case a couple of days ago. They were without power for 13 days and had to toss out food in one of their coolers.
Just to restock it, it was around 14, 15 grand just to restock that one walk-in cooler. So I can only imagine for the smaller business or somebody that wasn't struggling already, it's going to be tough to get it back, back and running again.
Before Wednesday, they were operating in the parking lot out of their food truck, serving first responders and linemen for free.
We had our food truck and it was full of police officers on this side, and on the other end, nothing but linemen waiting for us to, get a hot plate out for them, and it was just beautiful. It was amazing. It was amazing that we were able to do that, put it that way.
Just like El Rey, other businesses found ways to help others, like the Earth Pantry. They're a grocery store located on Broad Street.
We opened right away to make sure that we could get food to those who live downtown. And then we also wanted to make sure we could reach the people in the community, because I know a lot of the regular box stores were selling out of everything.
Despite not having internet and a boil water advisory that was in place, Alexia Redmond says they were still able to work around this so people could get necessities.
We were able to provide water from our sinks using the boiler, along with cold soaking pastas, rice. We just liked being a safe haven, doing what we can. Because I know people were struggling, they were stressed out, they were anxious about what they're going to do, how they're going to feed their kids.
Around the corner at Taco Cat, they say their main concern first was their employees and making sure they were okay.
Last week was voluntary. We worked with the people who chose to show up. Some people couldn't afford to not work, so we wanted to offer them a space to be able to work.
She says giving people a place to come and eat is a priority for them. In Augusta, Zana Halliburton on your side.
So what the person who spoke from El Rey said was exactly what I was talking about. It was just so probably amazing to see, to be able to provide back to the community in that way for them. So some of these businesses that are still trying to find a way to keep their doors open, or open their doors in those earlier days or even 2 weeks later, have been making it a better place for those in the community that need it. And obviously there are still many businesses that are probably struggling, and it will only get better with time. We know we're going to have to get used to a new normal. This is a slow recovery, but these are just a few examples of those businesses that have been able to open their doors and start to try and build things back up and get things started again and get used to this new normal. So before I let us go here shortly, I did want to go through those school updates and relief updates one more time before I close this out.
Doing amazing work.
Sorry, that was what we were already looking at. So these are the weekend relief events. The Columbia County Republican Party is going to be holding a breakfast from 9:30 a.m. Starting at 9:30 a.m. at Grove First Baptist Church in Grovetown tomorrow, and that is anybody is welcome to that. The Solid Rock Baptist Church will be serving hot meals, water, and more tomorrow from 12 to 2 p.m. And you can also donate snacks and water tomorrow to the Jesus Christ Church of Latter-day Saints in Evans. School updates. If you're just now joining us, these are the schools that will be returning next week. Richmond, Jefferson counties will return on Wednesday. Aiken counties on a 2-hour delay, Monday and Tuesday. Jenkins, Tolliver, and Saluda counties on Monday they go back, and then Warren County on Tuesday. Other news, The voter registration got extended in South Carolina until Monday, October 14th. So if you haven't registered, go out and get registered to vote. The deadline has been extended after a lawsuit was filed arguing that some of the victims of Helene should have more time to register. And then early voting does start between October 21st and November 2nd. Final news, this is what we got today. Small business owners in Georgia can get help recovering from Helene. This is a little bit, we just showed that package on some business owners here in the CSRA, but U.S. Senator John Ossoff says the Small Business Administration has opened a business recovery center in Augusta. You can get help applying for disaster loan applications, accepting documents, and providing updates on the applications. The deadline to return applications for damage is November 29th, and they're open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. until 6 p.m., except for this coming Monday, Columbus Day. And then Saturdays from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. on Walton Way by the Mi Rancho restaurant. And then on our website, on the news tab, if you go to the Small Business Owners article, we'll have all of this information written there as well. So that is all that I had for tonight for you guys. So I'll be back on Monday doing the same thing, and then join us for our later newscast, News 12 at 10. But otherwise, stay safe and have a good night and have a good weekend. And I will see you back here on Monday. But we will see you guys in our later newscast at News 12 at 10. So have a great night, everybody. I'm Kayla Lopez, and I hope you guys all stay safe and have a great weekend.